Welcome to Dark Stoic. Today, we explore the ancient truth that separates the extraordinary from the forgotten, the masters from the enslaved. We will descend into the philosophy of self-conquest, examining why the man who defeats himself defeats every enemy he will ever face, why the battlefield within is the only war that matters, and why those who never learn this truth remain prisoners in chains they cannot see. There exists a war that has raged since the first human drew breath. It is not fought on distant shores or bloody fields. There are no medals awarded, no monuments erected, no songs sung for its victors. Yet this war determines everything: your success, your peace, your legacy. This is the war within, and most men lose it before they even realize they are fighting. The ancient Stoics understood what modern man has forgotten. They knew that external conquest means nothing when internal chaos reigns supreme. They watched emperors who ruled millions yet could not rule their own tempers. They observed wealthy men who possessed everything yet owned nothing of themselves. And they wrote down truths so powerful that 2,000 years later, they still burn with relevance. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor who commanded the greatest military force the world had ever seen, wrote these words from his tent on the frozen frontiers of the Roman Empire. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Here was a man who could have anything he desired, who held the power of life and death over millions, reminding himself that true power lies not in dominion over others, but in dominion over oneself. Consider the profound weight of this truth. The same man who could reshape nations with a single decree spent his private hours wrestling with his own thoughts, his own impulses, his own weaknesses. He understood what most never grasp. The throne means nothing if you are a slave to your own emotions. The army means nothing if you cannot command your own mind. The empire crumbles when the emperor cannot govern himself. Seneca, advisor to emperors and one of the wealthiest men in Rome, witnessed firsthand the destruction that comes from self-ignorance. He watched Nero descend from promising youth to murderous tyrant, a man who conquered nothing because he mastered nothing within himself. From this observation, Seneca gave us this truth: most powerful is he who has himself in his own power. Not the man with the largest army, not the man with the fullest treasury, not the man with the most fearsome reputation. The most powerful is he who has himself in his own power. This is not poetry. This is not metaphor. This is the fundamental law of human existence. Every external failure you have ever experienced traces back to an internal failure you refuse to address. Every relationship you destroyed, every opportunity you squandered, every dream you abandoned was not taken from you by the world. It was surrendered by a self you had not yet mastered. The masses live their entire lives as strangers to themselves. They react without understanding why. They desire without questioning what. They fear without examining the source. They move through existence like ships without captains, tossed by every wave, driven by every wind, ultimately crashing upon rocks they never saw coming because they never learned to navigate. Epictetus, born into slavery, achieved a freedom that his masters would never know. From chains and servitude, he rose to teach senators and scholars a truth that liberated him long before any document ever could. No man is free who is not master of himself. These words should haunt you. They should keep you awake at night, because they reveal that the freedom you think you have is an illusion if you remain enslaved to your impulses, your fears, your unexamined desires. You believe you are free because no one holds a whip over you. You believe you are free because you can choose where to go and what to do. But can you choose what to think? Can you command your emotions to be still? Can you direct your attention where you will it rather than where it wanders? If not, you wear invisible chains more binding than iron. Self-mastery begins with a brutal confrontation. You must meet yourself honestly, without the comfortable lies you have constructed, without the excuses you have rehearsed, without the justifications you have perfected. You must look into the mirror, not at your face, but at your soul, and acknowledge every weakness, every failure, every moment of cowardice you have tried to forget. This is why most of you never achieve it. The confrontation is too painful. The truth is too sharp. It is far easier to blame circumstances, to point at others, to construct elaborate narratives where you are always the victim and never the architect of your own destruction. But this easy path leads only to a life half-lived, a potential forever unrealized, a grave filled with regret. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private meditations, never intended for other eyes. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. The simplicity of this command is its power. We spend our lives in endless preparation, endless discussion, endless planning. We read about greatness. We talk about change. We imagine the person we could become. But we never become that person because we never stop preparing and start being. The man who masters himself does not wait for perfect conditions. He does not require motivation. He does not need permission. He simply does what must be done because he has trained himself to act regardless of fear, to move regardless of fear, to persist regardless of pain. He has become the master of his own internal kingdom, and from that throne, he governs his external world. Seneca understood that time itself is the currency of self-mastery. He wrote with urgency that still echoes. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Every moment spent in distraction is a moment of self-betrayal. Every hour given to meaningless pursuit is an hour stolen from your own development. Every day ended without progress toward mastery is a day that voted for your own defeat. The mathematics of life are simple and unforgiving. Your years are numbered. Your days are finite. Your hours disappear whether you use them or not. The man who wastes them on pleasure and avoidance arrives at death with nothing but regret. The man who invests them in self-conquest arrives at death having truly lived. But self-mastery is not mere discipline, though discipline is its foundation. It is not mere knowledge, though knowledge lights its path. It is the complete integration of thought, action, and purpose into a unified force that cannot be stopped because it cannot be divided against itself. Most men are at war within their own minds. One part desires growth, while another fears change. One part reaches for greatness, while another clings to comfort. One part knows what must be done, while another constructs endless reasons to delay. This internal division ensures external defeat. The army that fights itself cannot conquer any enemy. Epictetus taught his students, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This is the process of self-mastery made simple. Decide who you will become. Then eliminate everything within you that contradicts that vision. The thoughts that oppose it must be silenced. must be confronted and conquered. This is not gentle work. This is warfare. You must become ruthless with yourself precisely so you can be excellent in the world. You must hold yourself to standards that others would call impossible, precisely because those standards will make you capable of what others consider unreachable. Marcus Aurelius, facing plagues, wars, betrayals, and the constant weight of an empire on his shoulders, still found time to examine himself ruthlessly each night. He wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." He understood that what you allow into your mind becomes who you are. What you tolerate within yourself manifests in your external reality. What you accept becomes your destiny. Guard your mind with the ferocity of a soldier defending sacred ground, because your mind is sacred ground. It is the only territory that truly belongs to you. It is the only kingdom you can fully control, and it is the foundation upon which everything else in your life is built. Corrupt the foundation, and the entire structure crumbles. The man who masters himself masters everything, because he no longer requires external conditions to support his internal state. He can be peaceful in chaos because peace comes from within. He can be confident in uncertainty because confidence comes from within. He can be powerful in weakness because the ultimate freedom the Stoics sought, and many of them found. Freedom from the tyranny of circumstance. Freedom from the slavery of emotion. Freedom from the prison of an unexamined life. They proved through their lives that a slave could be freer than an emperor, that a prisoner could be more liberated than a king, that a man with nothing external could possess everything internal. The question is not whether this path is available to you. It always has been. The question is whether you will walk it. Whether today, this moment, you will begin the war within in earnest. Whether you will stop making excuses and start making progress. Whether you will master yourself or continue being mastered by everything and everyone else. The choice, as always, is yours. It has always been yours. It will always be yours. That is both the burden and the gift of human existence. You cannot blame anyone else for what you become. You can only become it or fail to become it. That's all for today. Stay dark. Stay stoic. See you in the next one.